Well, in these fun political times, people throw around a lot of words and a lot of phrases. They use words like coup or banana republic or insurrection, or they'll say things like that person's a threat to democracy or will be a threat to democracy. That person is a fascist. That person will be a dictator. But what do you call it when one political party doctors evidence and attempts to use it to jail their political opposition? What about a party that would release a letter, not on presidential letterhead, by the way, to the public in a very cryptic way by releasing this letter in an X post, and doing so in an effort to prevent the duly elected president of the United States from running for re-election? Now, we can argue as to whether or not Joe Biden is actually the duly elected president of the United States, but that's a conversation for another day. They did this in spite of the fact that Democrat voters chose Joe Biden, and they did so simply because he's losing in the polls to his opponent. Keep in mind that the people who support that support that party made the decision through the democratic process. Democrat voters they all came together and they said, we want Joe Biden. And the Democrat Party then banded together and told these citizens, these voters, that they couldn't care less about their vote or their decision or their desires. To hell with what they want. We want someone else. And then in unison and with perfect pitch, the entire media establishment went from Joe is the man for the job and Joe is sharp and articulate to Kamala is an inspiration. And this is a welcome change. This is an obvious coup. And if you're okay with it as a Democrat voter, then you have officially lost the right to pretend that you are trying to take up for democracy or defend democracy, because you are now actively supporting the overthrow of the highest office in the land, period. And even though I can't stand Joe Biden, and I believe he's done more damage to our republic than any president in American history, I believe in our process, and I believe it must be protected in full, regardless of the outcome. If the American people are willing to live through inflation of our currency, shrinkflation of our goods, open borders, crime waves, rape and murder, human trafficking, rising prices, authoritarian leadership, and they're willing to vote to have that for 4 more years because they're too offended by Trump's mean Twitter feed, then I believe we deserve to lose our republic. I will fight like hell to make sure we don't. I will spread the word high and low and across and shout it from the mountaintops, across the valleys, that we have to protect this republic. But if we continue to vote this way, we deserve to lose our republic. And we don't need some benevolent dictator who's going to come in and, save us, rescue us in our time of need because we've made bad decisions. We have more than enough history to know that that never works. If we are going to be sheepish enough to let the mainstream media drive our opinions, get our panties in a wad, and tell us what to believe and who to vote for, then I believe we deserve the breadlines. We deserve the 15-minute cities. We deserve the destruction of our savings and the annihilation of our wealth and the removal of our rights. I mean, we can always get it back after the Civil War. But this is where we are today. We have one party who has taken over the presidency. They have taken over the presidential race. They have ignored their voters, and they are actively trying to now sell their voters on a person who has never received a single vote in a presidential election, and when she was trying to become president, rarely broke 1%. Why? Because they want 4 more years of an empty head in a suit that will do the bidding of the ruling class and the elites, who, by the way, most Democrats say that they hate. Our republic only has a few years left before it falls. Do you really want to spend it with Kamala Harris as president? Remember, you never chose her. She was chosen for you. Let's talk about this and so much more. I'm Jared, and this is Continue. And welcome back to Continue Freedom, all you wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Americans. I said in the intro, in my monologue, that I do believe that we only have a few more years left. If we don't make some drastic changes, we only have a few more years left, with America sitting atop the world heap of of nations in power. And we, as long as the elections, and that, when I said that if we vote to have our rights removed and we vote to continue living this painful life that we're living with this authoritarian government, then we absolutely deserve it, provided those elections are fair and that those elections are legal and that they are not being stolen by illegal immigrants or whoever, that they are, mail-in ballots and all these people stuffing ballot boxes. If we actually vote for it, then I believe our country has to fall and we'll pick up the pieces after the Civil War. And the Democrat Party has put in Kamala Harris, or Kamala. I don't even think she pronounces it the same way every time. They've put in Kamala Harris instead of Joe Biden. Joe Biden had a letter released on X that said, I'm not going to seek re-election, and people were questioning why we didn't hear this straight from his mouth. Why was there no press conference? Why was this done in a letter that didn't have the presidential letterhead? Megyn Kelly had someone looking, I guess a handwriting expert. I just saw a short clip of it, but she was talking about the signature, how the signature has anomalies that we don't normally see from Joe Biden. And Joe Biden had told us all the way up until late last week, he was not going to stop running for president. He was going to stay in the race. He was the guy. He wanted to be in it. And he was saying that because that's what Joe Biden whispers in his ear while she's wiping his bum on the toilet. Now, we can have an argument as well about whether or not Joe Biden should have been taken out to begin with. And I said, when I say taken out of the presidential position because he doesn't have his mental faculties, because he doesn't have the ability to run the executive branch. And that needs to be done through Congress. That needs to be done through the voice of the people. That doesn't need to be done by a cryptic letter who says, well, I'm just not going to run for re-election because I can't cut the mustard anymore. I can't handle the pressure. I'm too good. I'm just far too old. So I'm going to abdicate my responsibilities over to Kamala Harris. No, there's a process for this so that there is accountability for the American people. And when you have a staffer or you have a lobbyist or you have a whoever, I don't know who the person was that sent that letter out and signed that letter, but this forced the president to say, okay, now I've got to make a speech. And tonight he's going to make a speech. I'm recording this on July 24th. And so tonight he's going to have a speech. I'm going to be watching intently. It's in about an hour and a half. And I'm going to see what he says. But I do not believe under any circumstance that Joe Biden put that letter out. I just don't believe it. This is by the way, this is also something that's been thought out for a long period of time by some group of people working for the executive branch who have access to the Twitter or to their X account. Somebody posted that letter, and Joe Biden can't go back and say, nope, I don't have control of my staff. I don't have control of my Twitter account. Somebody else posted that. I'm staying in the race. He can't renege on that. He has to go forward with it now. The public pressure is far too high, and that's why they did it. But this poll released by Reuters on Tuesday revealed that Kamala Harris holds a 2-point lead over Donald Trump, following Biden dropping out of the race and endorsing his vice president to be his replacement. However, the Reuters poll that showed a swing in voters for Harris has interviewed a large share of Democrat voters compared to the previous poll on the topic. When I told you that after the presidential debate that Trump was leading la-di-da-di everybody, it was fairly obvious. Now they're saying that Kamala is beating Donald Trump. And there have been several posts, people talking about, she's beating Trump, she's going to beat Trump, she's going to beat Trump. This is going to get we're going to get bashed over the head with it. And a lot of folks were saying that, Trump is not polling as well with young voters. Well, if you know who Cat Turd is on the internet, millions and millions and millions of followers, he posted the poll that came out and said, no, Donald Trump is leading by double-digit points over Kamala Harris when it comes to younger adults. 18 to 30, I believe, was the age range. So anyway, they're going to now start to discredit these polls to make you think something rather than allowing us to use the polls that have been relatively accurate up to this point. They're going to try to use these swayed polls in order to shift your opinion and make you think that things are as they are not. And so in the early July poll, 348 Democrats were polled compared to 322 Republicans and 303 independents in the latest poll. 426 Democrats were polled compared to 376 Republicans and 341 independents. So they're swaying the people that are and swaying the voter or the polling pool that they're getting these they're developing these polls off of. I just butchered that, but let the deception begin. Let the deception begin. We are constantly being deceived by the media. The media is simply there to push a narrative. That's why if you're listening to Morning Joe or you're listening to the Today Show, any of the main media outlets, they are not the media outlets of the past. And I shout it from the rooftops as often as I can. Watch my channel. Don't watch my channel. Watch other channels, people that are actually sifting through this information, and we have been absorbing it and seeing it for so long. It's this tapestry of BS, and it's all woven together to make us think that things are a certain way, and that's just not the case. And they're going to do some other nefarious things to try to impact Donald Trump. As an example, the Secret Service, they're urging Trump, the campaign, to stop outdoor rallies. This is where Trump gains his support. This is Trump's bread and butter, are outdoor rallies. And the Secret Service is saying, you know what, we can't protect you, so you need to stay away from these outdoor venues. Following the attempted assassination, this is from the Post-Millennial, of Donald Trump at an outdoor rally in Pennsylvania, Secret Service officials have reportedly urged Trump's campaign to cease holding large outdoor events with big crowds. Secret Service agents reportedly expressed their concerns to the Trump campaign, to the campaign advisors, over having large outdoor rallies going forward. 3 people who were familiar with the matter told the Washington Post. Obviously, with an outdoor venue, you have a capacity, she said. It doesn't pack the same punch. There's something about being at one of those outdoor rallies. Yes, this is the energy that he can generate in front of a live crowd is part of his appeal. It's what has made him popular up to this point, is his ability to just open mic it in most cases. Sometimes he's delivering off teleprompter, but other times he's just open micing it with the people. He wants to be out there with the people. He can connect with the people. The Secret Service, who's the premier protection agency in the world, says, now we can't really protect you anymore, so you're going to have to shut down all of these rallies. The tens of thousands of people coming out to see you. No, we can't have that anymore. Oh, we can't have that anymore. And messaging. We have to be very specific about, when we're talking about these candidates, when we're talking about people, we have to remember what we have been told in the past. Do we remember Donald Trump saying, lock her, or people shouting, lock her up, lock her up? What was this? This became used or started to be used as messaging towards both Republicans and Democrats by the mainstream media to say, this guy's an authoritarian. He's going to come in and jail his political opposition. He's going to be a dictator. He's going to be a fascist. Well, what gets shouted at the Kamala Harris rally? Lock him up. Lock him up. That same divisive political rhetoric, and what this is acceptable to Democrat voters? The hypocrisy is astounding. People can say lock her up. People can say lock him up. But when there's a dual standard in the court of public opinion, and you say, well, yeah, okay, you got to lock Donald Trump up because he's a fascist dictator. You have bought into the narrative. You have bought into this deception that we've been living in for a decade. I mean, it's crazy. This is just yet another example of the Democrat bestowing on Republicans what they themselves are. We've seen it time and time again. This is hypocrisy. Only the difference is Donald Trump never went after his political opposition, but the Democrat Party did. Lock him up, lock him up. They've been trying to do that for a decade. And they're actually using the court system to do it. It's not a tongue-in-cheek thing. Oh, we're going to lock up Hillary, even though she should be locked up. That never happened. But with Trump, the full weight of the federal government was brought down on top of him. And I don't know how much more obvious we can make it, how much more obvious we can be. But Trump is now, he's going after, this is I guess a positive of this. There we go. I pulled up the wrong one. So Trump's campaign files an FEC complaint. So like I posted in my last video in the live stream that I did, they're filing an FEC complaint against Biden and Harris over the transfer of campaign funds. Kamala Harris is seeking to perpetrate a $91.5 million heist of Joe Biden's leftover campaign cash. So Kamala Harris is seeking to perpetrate a brazen money grab that would constitute the single largest excessive contribution and biggest violation in the history of the Federal Election Campaign Act of 1971 as amended, David Warrington, the Trump's campaign general counsel, wrote in the complaint. This is per the New York Times. He said that Biden and Harris were flagrantly violating the act by making and receiving an excessive contribution of nearly $100 million and for filing fraudulent forms with the commission purporting to repurpose one candidate's principal campaign committee for the use of another candidate. So this is the transfer of money from one candidacy to the other, which I guess you can't do. It's according to the law. As I said during the live stream, they could transfer it over to the Democrat National Committee, and then they could get a portion of it. I believe somewhere around $30 million of it, but they can't get the whole kit and caboodle. They can't get lottie-dottie, or I was going to say lottie-dottie everybody, but you can't get all the money. She's going to lose some of it. Well, they're just saying we're going to spend it anyway. What was the last point that I made during that live stream? Who is going to hold them accountable? If they decide to just spend the money, who cares? Yeah, laws, regulations, FEC, what in the world? Why do we need to worry about that? Just spend it. Who's going to come after us? Nobody's going to come after them. That's who. Because the Republicans are too gutless to do it. The justice system and all that is on the Democrat side. They can't think of anything better than to have a Kamala Harris presidency. So yeah, let her spend the $91 million. Rules for thee, but not for me. So say the Democrats. And you might think, who cares? It's $91 million. There's hundreds of millions of dollars. Joe Biden dropped out. It just seems logical that the money would go to the next person. This is hard-earned money from people who said, I want Joe Biden to be the president. They took that opportunity away from him, the opportunity for him to run and lose to Donald Trump, by the way. They took that opportunity away from him. They handed it to Kamala Harris. Then they took all the money that was there for Joe Biden. That these people said, I'm giving my hard-earned money to Joe Biden for his reelection. And they said, well, I know that's what you want. We want Kamala Harris, so we're going to steal your money and we're going to put it over here in the coffers of Kamala Harris. If you're a Democrat voter, you probably haven't listened this far, but if you have, and you're a Democrat voter, does that not irk you? Does that not piss you off? They're stealing people's money to give it to somebody that has never received a vote to be in the position that she's in. Somebody who polled horribly low. Her approval ratings were horribly low. She's the most fake, dolled up, empty head in politics. One of them, other than Mazie Hirono, she might be another good example, but people didn't want her. And they said, we got to get her in there somehow. Why? DEI? People say she's a DEI hire. Yes, of course she's a DEI hire. And she has no qualifications to be vice president of the United States. And that's the messaging they're going to continue to push when people say, oh, they just don't like her because she's a DEI hire. This is from CNN. They say, House Speaker echoes right-wing suggestion that diversity is to blame for Trump's security failings. It doesn't have anything to do with diversity. Diversity is, when you talk about DEI or you talk about skin color and all that, these are the least interesting things about people. No, I don't care about what your skin color is. Your skin color is completely meaningless. You have a different level of melanin. It's the most important thing to the Democrats. It's the least important thing to Republicans. We care about your morals, your ethics, your leadership capabilities, your accomplishments, your intellect, your performance. All these things are driving factors for us. We are a merit-based party. We are not a party of division, which is all DEI is. It's a way to divide people. Come on. Mao, to read a little history, Mao used immutable characteristics to divide people. The Democrats use immutable characteristics to divide people, and they always have. They are unchanged from the 60s. They are still the party of segregation. They are still the party that needs to divide people along racial lines. And yet they pitch it as the Republicans saying, oh, it's all because of diversity. No, diversity's fine. It's not the most important thing. It's fine. But it's the fact that you were given that position because of immutable characteristics that speak absolutely nothing to your capabilities to perform the job. And so that's going to guilt a lot of people into voting Democrat. A whole lot of people are going to get guilted into voting Democrat because of headlines like this. And they'll push it. They'll keep pushing it. So this is the division that we're up against. And let's not forget, by the way, that Kamala Harris, you can love her and say, oh, she's a DEI hire. She was the border czar. She was the one who was supposed to be responsible for the border. And I believe she only went there one time. But nonetheless, she was the border czar, and this is the situation she has left us with. Hang that right straight around her neck. That's the millstone that ought to drag her down. But we see migrants are saying, okay, we got to hustle. If Trump gets elected, it's all getting shut down. We got to hustle. And so they're going to come across in droves. Mark my words, they are going to be coming across in droves between now and January when Trump can actually do something. And they will openly allow them to come in. There's probably going to be a really big push between now and November. I mean, there is a big push, but it's going to get worse between now and November. And what do we, the people, have to look forward to? The rape and murder. This is a government agency, by the way. We're bringing in people, we're subjecting them to horrible circumstances. We're bringing across criminals as well. So I say the innocents, they're all technically criminal because coming across the border is a crime. But there are people who are just trying to come here for a better life. They aren't part of the military-age male group that are raping and pillaging. But we have a DHS contracted youth care center that was receiving hundreds of millions of dollars. The Southwest Key program, Biden administration has shelled out $1 billion to them, and the most recent payment was over $400 million. And what was going on at this place? They're abusing kids at this place. Immigrant children being raped, and there's reports that this was known to be happening, and people were covering for other people. In some cases, Southwest Key employees threatened children to maintain their silence. In harassing these children, these Southwest Key employees exploited the children's vulnerabilities, language barriers, and distance from family and loved ones, the lawsuit adds. The children who are entrusted to Southwest Key's care are at the heart of this case. The aggrieved children range in age from as young as 5 years old to teenagers just shy of 18 years old. The lawsuit comes as more reporting has revealed that unaccompanied minors are often subject to terrible conditions after they are taken into the U.S. Under the Biden administration, a policy that hands off illegal immigrant children to sponsors in the U.S. has also come under scrutiny, as it has been revealed that many unaccompanied minors have been sent to homes linked to criminal activity and labor trafficking. I said it before, and you can hate me for saying this and say, "Oh no, they're they're all the good people down on with CBP and with the Border Patrol and all those folks. They're all good people just doing their job. If they willingly do something that is breaking the law, that is immoral, unethical, or illegal, right? You don't have to obey orders that are immoral, unethical, or illegal. What they are doing at the southern border is all three of those things. If you are a Border Patrol agent and you are assisting in the transport of these young people, then you are taking part in human trafficking, period. You are saying that your pension means more to you than stopping the trafficking of children, period. This is where you quit. At that point, you quit. You say, nope, I'm walking away from this. I'm not going to take part in human trafficking. But nope, they shovel them onto the buses. They send them off to the centers. They say it's somebody else's problem. And they go along their merry way. Or they say, I'm just not going to do anything. I'm going to willfully disobey this law, and I'm not putting anybody on a single bus. If every Border Patrol agent does that, next thing you know, the border's filling up. The people ain't coming into the country. Well, they'll eventually be able to sneak through and get by, and they'll get into the country somehow. But say, I'm not doing it. I'm not transporting anybody into the U.S. I'm not transporting unaccompanied children into these places. You're culpable in this. Sorry, you are. There are things that you can do to resist, and you're not doing it. You're saying, I don't want to ruffle any feathers. My pension is far too important. I've been doing this for 20 years. I can't lose my retirement. That's where we are. But that is on the shoulders of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, but Kamala Harris, who is the border czar. This is who you're getting. This is who has been installed as the next presidential candidate. So I've got a couple other points here where I want to talk about just the political environment in general. And one of them is this. This is pulled up the wrong one here. Let's go to this next one. A 22-year-old in Michigan runs over an 80-year-old Trump supporter, calls the cops to confess, then dies from a self-inflicted gunshot. This guy saw a man putting up Trump signs. This is how out of control people are. This is how spun up people are about politics. That they are willing to drive over somebody with a four-wheeler, with an SUV, or with not an SUV, with a UTV, or in this case, a four-wheeler, whatever. They're willing to drive over somebody because of how they vote. And this is what they want. This is what the left wants. This is what the machine wants. This is what the media wants. They need us divided. Because if we roll over, and if you're a Democrat voter and you say, you know what, that's fine. I wasn't a huge fan of Joe Biden. It's who they gave me. Now they're giving me Kamala Harris. I know that's who I voted for. I know that's who I donated to. I just go ahead. I'll let them make the decisions. Then you have ultimately abdicated your responsibilities as a voter. You have abdicated your responsibilities as a citizen in selecting the person that is going to represent your party. You have willfully given over all of your power by not saying anything, by not doing anything, and just accepting it and thinking that that's okay. You are part of the problem in politics. You have got to write your elected representatives. You have got to reach out to these PACs. You've got to do it through social media. Do it through the mail. Snail mail it. Doesn't matter. Find the phone number for your elected representatives and absolutely go to town on that phone. I'm talking just, I wanted to say blow it up, but that could be taken out of context. That's not what I mean. Call them over and over and over again. What are you doing about this? What are you doing about this? This is wrong. That's not who we voted for. We don't want don't want Kamala Harris. We want Joe Biden. We want Joe Biden. We want Joe Biden. Now that bodes well for Republicans, obviously, but that's beside the point. If they'd done the same thing to Donald Trump, you better believe that there would be an uproar about it. People don't seem too worried about them doing this with Kamala Harris. She's an abysmal candidate. She's done an abysmal job. She does not have the qualifications. She slept her way into politics with Willie Brown and with, no, I was going to say Arsenio. It wasn't Arsenio Hall. Montel Williams and all these. She's put herself in certain circles with certain people doing certain nefarious things in order to get herself ahead politically. The Democrat Party needs another empty suit, which is all she has been as the vice president. She has only been an empty suit. Now, there is an article from the Epic Times that lists some of the things that she's done. And let's just say that by and large, she is unimpressive. She's an unimpressive individual. You can go to Epic Times and you can find the 30 things to know about Kamala Harris, the new Democrat frontrunner. But let's just say it's unimpressive. That's it. We've seen her press conferences. We've seen her answering questions, things that she can't do. She talks in circles. She tries to sound deep. And she's about as deep as a puddle of spit. She has no depth to her. She can read a teleprompter. That's her only saving grace. And they just said, that's what we want. We need somebody who can read a teleprompter. We'll get a better speechwriter. You know, Joe can't even read the teleprompter. We'll get a good speechwriter. We'll prop her up there. She will sign what we tell her to sign. She will do what we tell her to do. All she wants is to stop riding on Air Force 2, get into Air Force 1, get to ride inside the beast, hobnob. She'll have a book deal when she gets out. She'll make tons of money. She'll become a millionaire. That's all she cares about. She's perfect for the Democrat Party. If you're a Democrat voter, you're telling me you're okay with that? All right. Thank you all so much for watching. I love you guys. Comment, and hit that subscribe button. If this is the first time you're watching my show, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. And we're on X, Locals, Rumble, and YouTube. I'll see you guys in the next video. Love you guys.